Hey there, boys and girls. It's Ralph Garman, and you're listening to Talking Codswallop. Good choice.
Hello, everybody. This is Ming Chen from AMC's Comic Book Man. You might know me from the Tell 'em Steve Dave podcast and the I Sell Comics podcast. Listen, I love podcasting. I love talking, but what I really love doing is talking Codswallop.
Hey, I'm Alicia Witt.
I'm Daniel Portman from Game of Thrones. I play Podrick Payne.
I'm Ellipses, and you're listening to the Talking... Okay, I'm Mark Bernard, and you're listening to the Talking Codswallop podcast.
Hey man, it's Kevin Smith, Silent Bob, whose voice you were never used to hearing in the 90s until I started opening it up, man. And that's because I'm a podcaster and you're listening to a podcast, Talking Codswallop, right here, man.
Welcome to this week's Talking Codswallop. I am Gemma. No James this week. He is off getting... Sorry, hold on. He is off getting dentures
Come on, get it right.
I had this all planned out in my head. Shush.
Okay.
He is off.
I don't want to interrupt. You just go.
Don't make me mute you.
No, I don't want to interrupt. No, please go on.
You going to talk again?
I mean, come on, as if I would do such a cheap shot as that. Go on, please, no, in your own time.
Well, thank you. Thank you ever so much. He's getting
Whenever
dentures.
you're ready. Look, I don't want to just cut in and just, this would be a childish joke to do another time. No, I'm done now. Go.
Oh, okay. Is that like pranks? Is that...
Oh, yeah, sure. I'll say I was trying to tie in with the theme of the show, not like I was just being a dick. Let's go with that. Sorry, go on. I will shut the fuck up.
He's getting gold-plated dentures fitted into his teeth because the glory hole business has been amazing. So there you go. Thank you ever so much. I got that out.
I mean, was it worth the build-up, though? Was it really? I mean, if nothing else, like, if he had gold-plated dentures, he'd probably spat that out quicker.
Well, to be fair, it would have been really funny had somebody not interrupted me the whole way through.
Or if you got out the first time. I mean, yeah, either way, who knows?
Oh, bloody hell. You know what? I was going to do a nice build-up of introducing yourself, but you know what? You can fucking introduce yourself now. Go on.
It's the man, the myth, the legend, host of 24-hour podcast, radio shows, live interviews on Facebook, on Twitch, and YouTube. He is the guy who interviews people on stage live at sci-fi events around the world. Please welcome the one, the only, Dr. Squee! Oh, thank you very much, Jem. That was a wonderful intro, and I'm just so glad you got it out first time without any stammering. That was great. I don't care. I'm immune. I don't give a shit. Like, I'll just keep going. You know, the snoring will not put me off. Like, if there's one thing I can do, it's talk.
That's for sure, definitely. So, thank you ever so much for interrupting everything that I've said so far. But
that was a pleasure.
yeah, thank you ever so much for being here today. It's nice to sort of catch up with you because, well, it's been at least a year since the last time I saw you. So, how have you been?
Yeah, I'm just trying to think. What was it? What's happened in the last year which might have caused that? I can't think. There's been nothing in the news, I don't think. But it's cool. I've got my first vaccine today as we're recording this. So by the time this is going out, I'm probably just wicked sick with kind of some mild form of coronavirus. But there we go. It's kind of weird because what I do for a living now is I'm a team leader for a group of people who make calls regarding coronavirus to kind of follow up from the NHS to see how people are, get some, ask some questions for research purposes for the NHS and sometimes book people. And and I fully believe in it, and everything which we say on that, I'm kind of behind. But when it comes to the day when you're about to have it, and all that's been in the news is like, this might cause blood clots, this might kill you, this, that, and the other side effect. It's like, I'm not feeling so cocky right now, but I'm still doing it. It's still the right thing to do, I can report. Everyone go and get those jabs as soon as you can, because it is life-saving for so many people. Not necessarily yourself, but for people around you and the wider community. It's such a good thing to do. So, I'm putting my money where my mouth firmly is today. And also, I should say, it's sad that James couldn't be here today. Sending much love to James. I hope you're all right. But good news is he sent me something because, I believe this is your Easter special, yeah?
It is, yeah.
So James was a bit worried that people were losing sight of the true meaning of Easter, so he sent me something. Look, it's just up to you whenever you want to put it in. He wanted me to read something out, which definitely comes from James. That's James Stafford, if you want to message him on Twitter or write into Talking Codswallop. And he messaged me like this kind of thing he wanted me to read out about the true meaning of Easter. So I'll read that whenever you're ready.
Okay, well, we'll get into that in a minute, but just quickly with regards to the vaccine, yeah, I've had my first dose, and I can confirm that I've only got an extra tail, so, otherwise I'm all right.
I thought you were an extra tail, so other than the 2 you already had?
Yeah, pretty much. I had 2 coming out of my chin, but now I've got 1 coming out of, the lower back.
Yeah, and those are tails. It's not a beard, honest.
Covered that on a couple of episodes ago. I'm waiting for the beauty salons to open. I am, definitely.
Oh, jeez. I tell you, my hair is just such a mess at the moment. I'm not a vain guy, but especially when it went through this awkward middle phase, because I've kind of got it's not a mohawk, but it's kind of the middle bit is longer and the side bits are shorter. So it's kind of like a style. And as it was growing out, it just became tufty on the sides. It just looked like I'd gone for a very, very weird kind of tribute to some 80s comedians who had this kind of weird tufty hairstyle as they were going bald. It looked like I kind of put a wig in the middle. It was not a strong look. It's kind of just about self-corrected, but I am very much looking forward to haircuts being a thing again.
Yes, yeah, definitely. Because stupidly, before lockdown number 2, 3 or 4, whichever one this is, I had a fringe cut in. I mean, to be fair, it's pretty easy to sort of keep control of that. You can sort of snip it yourself or whatever, but still.
This is I believe, the 3rd lockdown. And this is the problem. The franchise just lost its way. The original classic, of course, we all remember it, the clapping, very strong opening, Captain Tom. The second one, it went with a different formula. I believe there was, different people involved behind the scenes. It just wasn't as good. It was kind of watered down from the original concept. Now we've gone through the trilogy. The death of Captain Tom was very emotive, obviously, in the narrative, but generally it's just not been as good as the first. I think they should have just capped it off as a one and done. This movie franchise isn't a goer.
No, you're right. You're absolutely right. Oh dear. Bad puns already.
Oh yeah. I mean, I don't know if it's a pun so much as just one of my surreal rantings, but either way. I, before I forget, sorry to interrupt you again. No, that was honestly an accidental interrupt this time.
Go on.
just before I forget, because, in my rantings I do, I just want to give a quick shout out to my buddy Al Galpin. He did Superpod 3, again, as we're recording this last weekend.
Oh, yeah.
And raised over £800 for comic relief. An absolutely wonderful feat. It was a podcast festival from 8 a.m. in the morning till midnight. And it was me doing my radio show / podcast, another podcast / radio shows coming on. And it was actually a really fun packed day. I had a lot of fun doing my episode because I had kind of 3 people come on, all which had technical difficulty. So just before we were going live, one was messaging me going, I can't connect through the kind of link because my browser doesn't support StreamYard or whatever we were using on that day. Another one going, it's like, oh yeah, my laptop's doing something funny. Like one of them came through eventually and we got them all on in the end. But it was a great time, a lot of money raised for comic relief, and you can still give if you go to superpod.co.uk. You can give now and help tot up Al's wonderful amount that he's raised. I don't know what it is at the moment, but it was over 800 quid last time I looked.
Yeah, well, that is absolutely amazing. I was going to do that this year, but I kind of chickened out. The whole live thing scares me a little bit, to be honest, because, if I have to read something, I'm not the best of readers and stuff like this. There's a lot of obstacles that kind of put me off kind of doing it, but for my own personal reasons. So, I was a bit sad that I'd let him down. Well, he obviously filled my spot, so it's all good. But, what I'm saying is that, that I couldn't do it. But also, James wasn't available either. So if he'd have been there, then maybe I would have been all right, But but that is amazing news. Yeah, £800 is incredible amount.
Yeah.
That is really awesome.
And the real tragedy of it is, though, that it's now kind of got me thinking I haven't done a a 24-hour podcast marathon live on video for like almost a year. It's not even, in fact, it's September, it would be a year.
Yeah.
And I said at the time, definitely 2 years between. I cannot do this to myself. I can't do this to poor Nicola, who has to put up with me when I'm doing one of these. And I said to her last night, I go, yeah, since doing, Superpod, it's kind of been in my mind about doing another one. She goes, why do you do this to yourself? Why are you doing this to me? And I'm going, all cogent and sensible points, but once it starts in my head, it's just kind of really hard to stop that kind of brain thing. And I have said to her, look, it will at least not be before September. I will at least make sure it's a year. I'm going to try and do some extra prep in advance this year so it's not so mad near the end. But yeah. So watch this space for Squee Fest, which is my particular brand of 24-hour podcast. For whatever charity I do it for this year, perhaps coming this September.
Yeah. Well, we'll definitely be there this time. There won't be any illness that will put us off this time.
Well, you've got about 18 hosts now, so you should be able to crack on with something.
Well, you'd think so, wouldn't you? We could at least do a 4-hour session with you because, we got 4 people at the moment, maybe 5. The 5th one is still sort of like moving house and stuff, so, not sure when he's going to be starting yet, but we'll definitely help you out with that and work it out and stuff like that. And as always, because me and you are friends in real life, aren't we? So, if there's ever anything that you need me to do in the background, obviously just holler and let me know.
Oh, it's all good. Yeah. To be honest with you, the way it kind of operates, there isn't too much background that I can give to anyone else. This is the kind of pain of it because it's basically just me with an internet connection, which hopefully is reliable. And with kind of StreamYard, it kind of people just grab the link and kind of go on.
Yeah.
So all the hassle and pain of it is squarely on my shoulders, including when I say to people, right, okay, just make sure anything you need, ask me before the 24 hours starts. Once the 24 hours starts, I'm live online. I can't answer any question. Everyone's like, oh yeah, sure, Squee. Yeah, of course. We definitely won't message you on the day when you're in the middle of a show going, oh, how does the link work? What am I doing with this, that, the other? And of course they do on the day when I'm live online. Because unlike Al, who's at least a little bit sensible about it, he does, don't get me wrong, I'm not taking anything away. He does a lot of prep and a lot of work on these things.
Yeah.
I know what goes into them. But like my way of doing it is to torture myself by me being online on the stream for the entire 24 hours. So, different shows come on and just join me, basically.
Yeah.
He at least is sensible enough to go, he's in a producer role and comes on for some shows. I'm not so sensible. I'm like, no, let's completely punish myself. And then people will ask me questions as I'm live, which I've got to, then while I'm talking to someone and interviewing them, I've got to be like tapping on my phone. It's all good fun. Why do I do this? Why?
Indeed, why? But, you're still going to do it, aren't you? So.
Oh, good, yeah. I say this, it's not going to change a thing.
No, exactly. So if you're listening, Nicola, you're more than welcome to move in with me for, a couple of weeks before he does it.
More than fair.
Yeah.
I am unbearable.
Fair enough. Obviously, we keep mentioning Nicola. Nicola is one of my closest friends. Obviously, Ian. Damn it.
Yeah, we'll let Ian go.
Squeeing.
Just Squee. It's all good.
No, squeeing. It's squeeing.
No, it's Squee.
It's squeeing for me and Lucy, so I'm calling you squeeing, okay?
Okay, Gemini.
That's fine.
So, Gemini, go on. Try and edit around this, Gemini.
To be honest, Squee isn't your real name. So
it is that I was born Dr. Squee and I changed it to Ian for kind of boring daytime purposes. That's the truth.
Okay. Anyway, back to Nicola, because I want to find out how she is, because obviously you've both moved house and you're getting married as well, which is very exciting.
Yep.
So what's going on there?
What, with us getting married? I mean, nothing in the moment, just because we have just moved, as you say.
Yeah.
And we're in a lovely new house. It's great. It's got a lovely garden to entertain people in the middle of a pandemic when we can't have anyone around. But, there we go. It'll be a lovely when people are allowed to come around. So yeah, basically, I mean, it was always the plan to have a long engagement. We're just sort of talking now that we're waiting for the pandemic to end so we can go and look at a particular place which we're interested in and getting married in, possibly. So, we've got kind of plans when pandemic ends to start planning that. But it has meant where we've just moved, we can concentrate money on the house. So we bought a huge fridge freezer. It's kind of like not quite a double one because we didn't have room for that, but it's like 1.5's worth.
Yeah.
So it's like double doored, but one kind of half's a bit smaller than the other, or one section. because obviously by nature half is half.
Yeah.
That's how half works. We bought like a new vacuum cleaner, all very middle class kind of middle aged kind of stuff. So we're just spending all our money on house stuff because what else are you going to spend on not going out?
Well, yeah, exactly. Or you could be saving it for that big, massive party that we're going to have.
Yeah, I mean, also the other thing is my current job is directly linked to the pandemic. So it started when I was doing this job. I just basically I was part-time on contract, part-time through an agency. And so this job came up through the agency and they go, well, look, it is full-time though, because my agency stuff fell away from where I was working in the council. Like both jobs were in the council, one was contract, one was through agency. And so half my job just went away. And the agency said, look, we can get you something, but it's kind of full time. Like all the jobs we're getting through are full time. So this NHS job came up making phone calls for flu, for the flu vaccine.
Okay.
And follow up calls.
Yeah.
And so I started doing that.
For the flu vaccine or for the COVID vaccine?
No, the flu vaccine, because when the job was originally set up, it started being set up before COVID was, a known threat, basically. So by the time it came to fruition, COVID had just hit. So they started the virtual flu call center. So we got sent out some equipment and I was just making calls. And then pretty quickly they needed assistant team leaders. So I kind of put in for that and I got the job. Or deputy team leaders, as Nicola loves the fact that it was called deputy because it sounds like deputy dog. So I started doing that job and then I got promoted to deputy team leader. And then very quickly there kind of started being murmurings about the fact that we were going to start making calls around COVID. So that's kind of how it kind of evolved. And then, so we moved over to COVID calls and I got made a team leader. And I forget why I went on to this. But anyway, that's what I'm doing at the moment. So that was it. So when the pandemic ends, I kind of don't know what happens with my job because it's contracted at the moment till June because it's kind of rolling contract.
Yeah.
It could extend a bit longer. It could be that we're making calls about the follow-up jab if there is one. We don't know. It could be that we go on to making flu calls because then it'll be the time when they're doing injections for that. I get the feeling as soon as lockdown ends, though, all the press around COVID goes away because they don't want to talk about it and no one wants to talk about it at this stage. So, yeah, I might be job hunting soon. Who knows?
Well, let's hope that's not the case.
If it is, it is. I kind of took a calculated risk on this. So it was like a full-time job, which Jesus knows that at the moment, I was just very thankful to have work during this pandemic when I know a lot of people didn't. And, for a while, as I say, I was working part-time, which was a real struggle. So I do feel for people who've got no work at all, or their jobs have gone away. And, I hope everyone's staying strong through all this. So I'm really looking forward to, when this ends, I'm actually in a good position based on the work I have done here of getting a better paid job than when I started, just as long as the work's there. But I think at least through temp jobs, they're starting to come up again and, maybe some more permanent ones will come up along the way. So, it's looking all right.
Yeah, that is really good news and fingers crossed that it does all work out how it's supposed to for you. I do like the fact, though, that I asked you how you and Nicola were and you've just told me about you.
Oh, Nicola's good. I think it's because I will just talk about any aspect of me you like. Nicola, it used to be when she'd come home from work. Now we're working in an office here. But even if she's doing an odd day when she does go in the office because the council, once in a blue moon, she goes in to just check stuff in where she works in the council.
Yeah.
And she'll get home and I'll go, how was your day? She goes, same old, same old. Wow, it's really thrilling to hear about your day, babe. It's really great to catch up on all this nuanced detail. She goes, well, what are you going to say? It's work. So that's her kind of summary. I'd be like, well, you want to know what happened with a coffee machine? Now, let me start an 8-part story which will go off into many different diversions, and eventually I'll talk about where I started with a coffee machine and my day at work. But yeah, no, Nicola's great. She's like me, working from home. She works for the kind of transport side of the council. And so when she goes into the office, it's because they literally kind of print and supply passes. So she has to kind of coordinate that from inside the council. But generally we're just kind of other than the kind of stuff I do extracurriculum with the podcasting and all that, there isn't that much exciting kind of stuff to talk about. It used to be on the podcast or the radio show, I talk about what's happened during my week. And it's like that really, other than stuff which is in the news and stuff which affects all of us, there's just what do you do that's that special other than the latest Netflix show? It's just really hard to have anecdotes. I've suddenly realised, because I used to do a lot of writing as well, which I want to get back into, but I've realised how much I was inspired by going out into the world and things happening. And that's where kind of that inspiration for me comes for stories. I've had other writer friends who've said, it's like, it's great. Oh, brilliant. I've always been an introvert and I just get to sit at home and write. It's great. That's perfect for me. But for me, if I'm not going out and being inspired by stuff, it's kind of harder for me to write. And I didn't even realise that was part of my thing when I write. But there you go. So Nicola's good. Did that answer your question at all?
It does. Thank you very much. We finally got round to it.
There you go.
Yeah. Well, as you know, with regards to our podcast, because you've listened once or twice at least, we always pretty much start the episode 20 minutes in.
Sure. Did something distract you at all?
Yeah, that's okay.
Have you finished your intro yet?
Yeah, I have. It's perfect having you on the show because, to be completely honest, I've pretty much only got to sit here and just listen to you. I haven't got to talk.
Yeah, I love guests like that.
Well, yeah, I do too. But it is nice when I can get a word in edgeways too.
That was at least 5 words right there. Come on.
It is. Well, anyway, the way that we normally start our episodes is, have you got any codswallops? So, Dr. Squee, go on, I'll call you your official name. Have you got any codswallop this week at all? Or in general, anything that's really sort of pissed you off or whatever?
I mean, one of the challenges, this is the only thing which springs to mind really, because again, nothing happening. One of the things which is kind of always fun as part of the job I do. So again, I'm a team leader for people making these phone calls to follow up with people with their COVID vaccination. And the news is always a constant help with that. So you get any news story about kind of, or anything someone's posted online about I actually wish we'd record this after I got my vaccine, because I'd have 5G to bounce the signal off. It would have been a lot, better. But, this is the thing. This we're working against. We are there, like all my team is working, making phone calls. They're all being very lovely and trying to make as many phone calls to help out the NHS and to make sure everyone's kind of okay making getting the COVID jab, and they had a good experience and they got the letters they should have about it. And the first thing they hear is like, oh yeah, I'm not going to get that. That's going to give me kind of microchips, which is going to lead to Bill Gates kind of infiltrating my mind, and it's going to poison my blood and give mind control to the government and blah. And like then you've got kind of quote unquote genuine news stories about blood clots, which it turns out is kind of like bullshit science, because it's a couple of people got blood clots, had pre-existing conditions, blah, 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 blah. And, it's just, I guess, the uphill battle that, what we're doing really is a very, very small part of that. We just make some phone calls. At the end of the day, I always say to my call handlers, if you get someone like that, what they're going to do, jump down the phone line at you. It's okay. I know it's really unpleasant to deal with, but you are safe. You are okay. Just remember that, when you're kind of dealing with these people.
Yeah.
And, the vileness that some people kind of spit out at the people trying to make a good, a phone call to help them out.
Yeah.
But there's people within the NHS who are kind of nurses working on the front lines, and they're getting the same shit. And they're the ones I really feel bad for, because they're up front and personal, putting their own lives at risk, and they're getting abuse from people. And that's just fucking vile.
Yeah, it is. And to be honest, I know what you say, because with regards to like the phone and stuff, because with my job, I deal with people on the phone as well, because I'm in customer service, and sort of throughout the years, I've pretty much done this throughout the years, but like with different companies and whatnot. But yeah, it's when you do get that nasty person on the phone, there is a part of you that kind of does go like, it just makes you feel so horrible, especially when you're trying to do a good thing for that person, when you're trying to help them and they're being vile to you. It's just, yeah, I can understand that. It's absolutely disgusting behavior. And in my case, it's customer and they are potentially like really pissed off with something that's happened or whatever. So it is sort of a different scenario. But, in this circumstances, it's just, people just need to get on with it and just get the jab, because otherwise life isn't going to go back to normal, is it really?
Yeah.
So,
I mean, there's even the fact that you get in the news, and these are genuine, again, it's kind of a genuine story, so I understand why people are wary. but you get a news story where it's like, spam callers are calling up people and fraudulently trying to get the bank details for phoning about the COVID jab. So then my call handlers, after that's been on the news, have to call hundreds of people a day, which half of which are then going to go, no, we heard on the news that you're just a spam caller. And it took ages for the NHS, understandably how quickly this was all rolled out and, had to be put in place.
Yeah.
But it took them ages to advertise our phone line and to put it in the letters which people get. So now it does say about us making phone calls. So it's a bit easier, but just, so we're having to fight what's in the news. And again, some of it's kind of genuine, some of it's not so much. But I understand why people are worried. But, we always say, as soon as someone says no on a phone call, which we're making, that second you go, thank you very much. Here's where you can get some more details. Thank you. Goodbye. So it's not like, if someone says no, we're going to keep them there. But people get so defensive and they get so used to the crap from spam callers that their backs are already up. And so we're already working on the back foot, trying to kind of calm people down. Just go, it's okay. If you don't want to speak to us, that's fine. We will let you get on with your day. If you do, call too. And we won't sell you anything. We won't ask for your bank details. It's all fine. But people are just so ready for that fight with the spam caller, which again, I understand. I've answered the phone before to a number I don't recognize. Like, hi, who is it? What do you want? It's like, oh, my doctor's. Okay, yeah, thank you very much for calling me. It's a lovely call. And I love the fact that on phones now, it does kind of recognize when your GP calls you, it comes out as hospital or GP surgery or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's, I don't know. Yeah, anyway, that's my codswallop. There you go.
And that's good codswallop because, with regards to the spam callers and stuff like that, it's like my mum probably gets 5 a day, 5 spam callers a day. And I can't even tell you how many I get on my mobile. It is really, really frustrating, especially when you're the person who's actually on the phone trying to do a good job, in your circumstances, I mean, but then you have had, all the people have had so many different spam calls that they're just not interested anymore.
I mean, it's also worth saying as well, just because, again, I feel like I have to speak out in favour of the vaccine because of my job and just my personal belief in it. But it's also worth saying that people are kind of so worried about how quickly it's rolled out. But if every vaccine that we got or every kind of medicine went through the amount of testing these ones have in a year, we'll say, kind of to be generous, but let's say even half a year, they've got tens of years worth of funding that other vaccines get. So what other vaccines might get in 10 or 20 years, this vaccine has had money pumped into it because we've needed it so quickly.
Yeah.
So even though it's been rolled out so quickly, the amount of testing that's been done on it compared to other drugs, which you will take every day, is staggering. Of course, yes, we would ideally want long-term kind of results. We want to know that, but the amount of upfront testing that it's got is just amazing, and it's worth bearing that in mind because I think it is a legitimate worry that vaccines usually get longer testing. I understand people's fears, but you've got to remember the money that's been put into this coming to your arm.
Yeah, I agree, definitely. I'm just trying to think if I've got any codswallop this week, to be honest, because I know that there was something.
If you want to say something about James, he's not here, so perfect time.
No, James is my absolute bestest buddy in the whole entire world. I wouldn't say anything about him unless it's a joke.
Blonde hair, blue eyes. If you want to say anything about Aryan race or anything like that, this is a good time to bring it up.
No, not at all. It's really frustrating me, actually, because there was something that really pissed me off this week, but it's like one of those things that it kind of doesn't stay in. So I quite often write them down, but I've forgotten. But I know that we have got a listener codswallop, so that's much more important. So the listener codswallop is from my buddy Midnight Smoke, who is part of the Garmy. His is, and this is quite relevant for me as well, why is it that customers wait until the last hour or so to fucking call for their problems? It's been happening all day. So that's basically what they've said. Then why the fuck didn't you call sooner, you fucking twat, is what he's written. I think I can understand that because quite often, because like we got a technical department in the company that I work for, because it's like extractor units and stuff like that we work with. Quite often I get telephone calls and they come through to my line and I have to then transfer because everyone's working from home and whatnot. We do get calls quite often like that people are saying, oh, I've had this problem all day, and it's like 5 to 5, and it's like, are you fucking kidding me?
Oh God, yeah. It's whether it's phone calls or working in person, the one which takes the longest is always the last call or the last customer of the day. It's just it's awful for that. That's why I don't miss about retail or making the phone calls myself, I've got to admit.
Yeah, absolutely. Because, there was one that I had earlier this week, actually. And the guy, again, he called in for the technical team and it was actually 5 o'clock. And I said, well, I don't think you're going to get much luck because it's 5 o'clock now and we finish at 5. And he was like, oh, God, I didn't even realise the time. And I was like, yeah, you did. You're just chancing your arm, you dick. Obviously didn't say that. But, we know. We're not stupid. Yeah, so I agree. Midnight Smoke.
Yeah, I think a lot of us can relate to that.
Yeah. Okay, well, I think now that the codswallops are all done, and, mine's still forgotten, so it'll just be there for another episode, I'm sure. We'll move on to our Eastery section of the show, because this is dropping on Easter weekend, so we wanted to do something that was a little bit Eastery related, or Happy Chocolate Day, as I like to call it. With the first post that I put out, which was, with the end of Lent fast approaching, what one thing would you give up for 40 days and 40 nights? So before we get into that, though, you've got something from James that you wanted to say. So feel free to read that bit now, if you'd like.
Well, I mean, James, many may not know this about him, but deeply religious guy. He's sick of the blasphemy around Easter. And so he's just sent me this kind of retelling of the original Easter story. And I thought it was just... I thought it was quite right and proper that we should do this at this time, and I'll read that out for James because, sorry he couldn't be here himself today to do this. Again, if you disagree with anything in this, please write to James Stafford or to the Talking Codswallop email or social media.
None of which we will give you, so you can't complain.
just listen to any of the episodes where they talk about it. Go into the Talking Codswallop page on Facebook, tweet them, at Gemma, at James, come do all that stuff, please. They want to hear from you.
For all of that information, you need to actually read the description. So the stuff that I actually write in the notes on the podcast, but I'm pretty sure that only probably 10% of you read that. So,
but you can now that she said that, or you can just Google Talking Codswallop. It'll all come up. It's fine.
Okay.
Ask me, I'll send you on the details. But don't complain to me. It's all James. Okay. So, so he sent me this original Easter story. So, it was that back in ye olden times of God and all that shit. That I'm just reading this verbatim from James, of course. When there was times of God and shit, that Jesus had become a bit bored. He was kicking around Galilee, around kind of Jerusalem, and he was looking for something to do. He'd found that he'd done the loaves and fishes, so he didn't want to repeat material because you've got to keep it fresh in this game. Done the parting of the waves. He was struggling for his next miracle. And he thought that what he would do was he would, just to show support for all his peeps out there, he would give up chocolate. So there was a chocolate link back then. He would give up chocolate for 40 days and 40 nights. Lo, it was, though, sadly, that Jesus had this need for a certain amount of chocolate in his diet. And he actually, was chocolate reliant for his life. And he sadly passed away from lack of chocolate. And so it was that they buried him in a cave. And they put some mini eggs around him because they were his favourite, along with some Cadbury's cream eggs. And then they made a giant mini egg. Well, it was a maxi egg, of course, because it was that size.
Yeah.
And they rolled this boulder, which is where we get the myth of the boulder, but it was a giant mini egg. And they rolled it in front of the cave. So indeed, he could not escape. And lo, it was 40 days and 40 nights later, they came to check on him to see if he was dead and shit still. Again, just reading directly from what James has sent me here. And they rolled back the giant egg, except for the giant egg was not there. It had gone. There was a few bits of shell around the bottom, so they could only assume someone ate it. They went into the cave, all the mini eggs and all the Cadbury's cream eggs, which again, let's remember, Jesus' favourite, had gone. and the body was missing. It had arisen to heaven, and thusly the tradition of eating chocolate eggs and giving up shit for Lent was born. Thank you very much, Jane, for sharing that with us. And may you all go with God. And if you have any problems with this, I think it sounds a bit blasphemous to me, but James swears this is the real truth. And all you don't agree are the real blasphemers. Again, I'm just reading from James's email. So please write into James, write into Talking Codswallop if you've got any problem with that fantastic retelling of the Easter story from James.
I think that's amazing.
I know. I didn't realise that's how it all began. But, James tells me so I'm not going to argue with him.
No, because I've always questioned how rabbits managed to lay eggs.
Oh, yeah. And it was actually a bunny who found the body had gone in the cave. That was it. Sorry, I missed a bit from his email.
Oh, okay. No,
Yeah.
You're absolutely fine.
Yeah. The bunny actually had some chocolate and some blood around its mouth, but he said, no, I didn't eat it, and certainly the body wasn't consumed by me. I mean, again, this is all from James, if you've got any problem with any part of this.
It's not blood, it's raspberry sauce.
Yeah, exactly. What's that bone you're just using to pick your teeth with, bunny? Look, don't ask me any questions, I'll tell you no lies. He's ascended.
I always knew it was the Easter Bunny.
Oh, yeah.
Always.
According to James.
Yes, exactly. I stand by that as well.
And that's the gospel according to James, as he put it.
Amazing input there from James. He always has to be part of the episode somehow anyway.
From James Stafford. That's James Stafford. You can look him up on Facebook.
Yes, James M. Stafford.
Yes.
He won't tell me what the M stands for. And I think if he has previously, but unfortunately with my brain I have forgotten, and I think it's something like Maurice or something like that.
It's actually Messiah. I think blasphemous, but he says it's okay.
Fantastic. Well, let's see what the tadpoles have to say with regards to what they give up for 40 days and 40 nights. My friend Sean from the What Does It Matter podcast, he has written drinking beer, I think. I don't know. I'm not Catholic. I never had to subject myself to such things like Lent or hating people that a clergyman tells me to because a book told him so. I sent him a handbags message with that one.
I mean, that's the classic, I give up giving up something for Lent more.
Exactly. But no, never give up beer. And so my friend Melissa from the book reading podcast has written, not much. That's why I'm not very good at Lent. I used to try and give up soda, sweets, smoking, etc. This year, I probably should have tried giving up Amazon shopping. Which I thought was really funny.
Yep.
I also agree. I've probably done far too much for that.
This is the thing. Certainly one company which doesn't need to put a microchip in us this year is Amazon. They've already got us.
Yeah, exactly. We're hooked, line and sinker, aren't we?
Yeah.
Right, Daniel Myers says, tolerance. I'd like to give up tolerance for 40 days so I could run around battering stupid people. I know it's completely unrealistic and I promise no morons were hurt during the creation of this post, but a boy can dream.
Took a dark turn.
It did. But that's why we love him. Okay, Owen Edmonds. Now, we have to remember Owen Edmonds, and what he's given up for 40 days and 40 nights, for when he gets to the prank that Squee has very kindly said that he's going to read for me, because it is a bit of an essay, that one. So I don't know if you've read it yet or not, but, we'll get to that in a moment.
I've read the first chapter so far. I mean, Jesus.
Okay. It was a bit of a book, but Owen did say that he did condense it down, and that's as much as he could condense it down. So that's what I just wanted you to remember. This is what his giving up for 40 days and 40 nights is before you hear that. Okay? So, Owen Edmonds. Being nice. I'd love to be a complete arse to everybody. And I was like, ooh, I might join him on that one.
Well, you haven't started already, Jem.
Shut up. You know I'm a nice person.
I mean, the shut up really sells it.
Exactly. Our lovely friend Lucy Caton.
Hey!
Work. I could easily not work for 40 days. And I agree with her there. And I put, this is me on the telephone. Hi, is that Lucy's boss? Well. The next one is from this crazy cat called Ian Shaw. So I don't know if you want to just read that yourself.
I don't know what he put. I haven't got you. You see, you haven't prepped me for this. I haven't got it here.
Okay, well that's okay. I mean, I can read it for him if you'd like.
Yeah. Sounds like a weirdo, but go on.
It does sound like a right weirdo, to be honest. But, I guess, we take all that we can when we're an indie podcaster, don't we?
Yeah.
Right, his says, negativity. I think through the last year, we've had enough. So, Dr. Squee, what are your thoughts on that?
Well, I'm very down on that post myself, but no, I mean, a very concise, well-written kind of short posting. Obviously nothing like that I would write, but I don't know. Yeah, I mean, it's been a fuck of a year. Like, let's face it, we're all kind of struggling like fuck right now. Like, after a year of lockdown, actually, I should say most of us. I will actually give a shout out to my friends who are recluses, who kind of like, even though they're my friends, they kind of don't like the outside world that much, and they've thrived in lockdown. So I'm very pleased for them. And it just shows any circumstances can work in someone's favour. But generally, a lot of us have struggled this year, and it's been really difficult. And then when people are just generally shitty to each other, it doesn't help us get through what's already a very, very kind of difficult time for a lot of us. So I would support what Ian said there, that let's try and be a bit nicer to one another. Let's try and put a bit of positivity out there.
Yeah, indeed. And I think, you keep saying about the recluses and stuff. I think I'm probably a slight recluse. I think I'm a bit of both, but leaning more towards the recluse because, especially working from home, I'm loving working from home. And I've said this almost every single episode. So I'm a bit like a broken record there, but it's true. I really do.
Yeah. I mean, I would honestly keep that about this. Like, if my next job could be working from home again, I would be made up.
Yeah.
But just maybe with being able to go down to the pub afterwards.
That's the thing. See, I am missing seeing friends. This weekend, it's my niece's birthday. It's actually quite nice that we're actually going to see her on the driveway.
Yeah.
I can't wait to really see her. Do you know what I mean? It's like I haven't seen her for, it must be about a year.
Yeah.
It's insane. And we only live 20 minutes away from each other.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. It's on the regular. Like, I've got a shop just down the road from me. Like, it's like about 5 doors down, and across the road from that shop is a pub. So I don't really need to leave my block that often.
No.
But when I want to see some of my friends, it's kind of nice to be able to, or see kind of family on birthdays and Christmas. We were just talking about Easter with my mum and my brothers. And she was going, it's like, oh, maybe we'll be able to meet up. Going, no, mum, like at best by then we're at rule of 6.
Yeah.
So, all the family wouldn't be able to come around at the same time with our kind of partners and everything. Let's just kind of, maybe by then I might be able to go and visit mum safely. She's had her first vaccine. She's due a second one. I think it still would be after Easter. And so would I. But like, in her house, socially distanced, or even in her garden, we might be able to have a glass of wine or something. But, and that would be fantastic. But just even getting to that point where all my family can be in the same room, we're looking post-June at least.
Yeah, I know.
And that's kind of just crazy to think after we've already been through a year of on and off lockdown.
I know. It's insane, isn't it? It's absolutely insane. I don't get it anymore.
Well, if lockdown hadn't been so on and off in the first place, then we'd be out this, or, be in a better position, should we say, by now. If we hadn't have... Sorry, but, for anyone who complained about the first lockdown and wanted to end when it did, or sooner, this is why we're still why we still had such high rates when we started on the vaccine program. If the rates had been lower, we would have been in a better position to not have so many lockdowns later on. And, as the vaccine took effect, then we would be in so much of a better position. I think we're having to do the hard yards now because we weren't prepared to do it earlier on. And I get it. I understand. What we went through in the first lockdown felt like the biggest, most impossible thing we've ever done as a country, as a world, kind of facing this shit. But, what you've got to see is the big picture that we're going through more.
Yeah, I think this one's been harder, to be honest.
Yeah.
This last one. I think that's been the hardest one because I think it's like, we all know what to expect sort of thing. And it's like, it's worse this way round, because we know, I agree with you that we should have stayed in lockdown for a lot longer. But anyway, let's not talk about COVID anymore.
Yeah,
we don't want to talk about that. Okay, so Joanne Alexander says, yes, The famous bit where Jesus went into the desert and played martyr for over a month. Meanwhile, the devil is trying to make him see sense and eat something. For fuck's sake.
I know James is just not going to be happy with that. We told the real story now.
And I put, and we all thought that the Irish people were religious. Laugh out loud.
I know. These Irish, I don't know, including my mum, they're awful.
No, not at all. Before this one, big shout out to our buddy Timmy Dawson, who is the Codswallop Popper. So basically, he provided us with the first listener Codswallop.
Hello, Timbo.
Yeah, well, he's Timmy. I hope you enjoyed that. Yeah, he actually has got COVID at the moment, and he's suffering quite badly because he's got underlying health problems as well.
Oh, no.
So big shout out to him, and keep getting better. I'm keeping in contact with him on a pretty regular basis to find out how he's doing. So hopefully, touch wood, I'm actually touching wood there. We hope that he does continue to get better. So everyone sort of send a positive thought his way.
Yeah, get well soon, buddy.
Yeah, definitely. So he's written, I'll give up feeling ill. It would be nice to have the energy to do anything and not feel pain. If I can't choose that, then I'll easily give up Cliff Richards, as he is just fucking awful.
Yeah, to give up Cliff Richards, I'd have to start on Cliff Richards, and I'm not willing to do that. Do you know, he's one of the most famed people ever as well. Like, every interview, he always managed to sneak in a humble brag. So there was, I used to work as a care worker, and there was one of the clients I had who brought a Cliff Richard DVD. He was a big Cliff Richard fan. So, of course, you just watch whatever they want to watch. It's their house and everything. Mm-hmm. And we put on this DVD, and Cliff Richard was going, it's like, you know what, we recorded these records, and we didn't record them to go to number one. Of course, they did in all those instances, but, and it's just all this kind of stuff of going, obviously, Elvis was a huge, big inspiration on me, but, we actually had more number ones than him, but, and it's just always, every story he managed to get back to a humble brag about himself.
I know, it's ridiculous, isn't it?
Yeah.
The last entry was from my friend Kerry Harrington. Have you met Kerry?
I'm not sure if I have. I of course know the name, but I don't think I've actually met her, but I could be wrong.
I know what Nicola has, because we all went on the cruise together. Hers is the school run. Josh is really cutting into my sleep time. Which is obviously Josh is her son.
Yeah.
So that was obviously fantastic. Thank you ever so much to everybody who submitted entries to that, because, it's always fun when the listeners actually provide content for you as well, isn't it? It's like that, it's nice to actually know that they're actually listening and they're actually providing stuff. So
what you mean is, like with me, I've got the big question of the week on my radio show, and it means you just get like 10 minutes just reading stuff as opposed to actually doing any work for the podcast. It's brilliant.
Exactly.
They're such
it's
suckers.
Amazing.
And they will never hear us saying this. You will, of course, cut this out, and because they never need to know that they're such suckers and they fall for it every time. I mean, we love them, of course.
Well, I may edit that out, I may not.
Oh no, you haven't left it in by accident, have you? Wink.
So, going on to the next subject that we've brought to the show, aka you guys have brought to the show.
Yeah.
It's about, obviously, April Fool's Day. So, going back to the fact that I mentioned that it's my niece's birthday, just a quick little note that on, I think it's Wednesday the 2nd, well, it's definitely the 2nd of April, but I can't remember if that's Wednesday. It's, it might actually be my birthday. So if anybody wants to send me lovely messages and, presents are welcome, gold, diamonds, whatever.
I'm not sure what we can do to beat the last present, which I will have, of course, be honest, was all Nicola's idea. What was the last present we sent you, Jen?
That was amazing. It was a shame, actually, because there was a little ticket in there that said who it was from. But yes, I got a colouring book, which was colouring in dicks.
Yeah. We should emphasize an adult colouring book. This is not for children.
Yes. It was the best thing that I've ever received. I need to start colouring, actually. I need to start colouring that in, but either way, it was the best thing ever, because I was just like, what? What's this? I haven't ordered this. And then it was like, just look through again, and then it said, from Nicola. And I was like, it's from Nicola, thank you.
Yeah. Actually, as a result of that, there was my another friend's birthday, and I sent him, it's the Bag of Dicks colouring book.
Yeah.
Because I was trying to find the sweeties you can get sometimes online, which are like a bag of dicks, and they're little gummy sweets.
Yep, I know.
So the colouring book was the closest I could get, so I sent him that instead. So yeah, happy birthday, have a bag of dicks.
From bagofdicks.com.
Yeah, they were out at the time, or for some reason it wasn't working to order from there. So I had to send him the colouring book instead of a bag of dicks.
Oh, fair enough. Yeah. I think it's it's all very appreciated. So that's a good thing.
Yep.
Next segue, or next segment, should I say, is, because obviously it's April Fool's Day coming up soon, and just to recap, 2nd of April is my birthday, just as a little, just everyone remember that, 2nd of April. What are your favourite April Fool's Day pranks? Now, Squee, would you like to read yours first?
Oh, who's this from again? Sorry, it doesn't have a name on it.
This one's from Owen Edmonds.
Oh, it won't open.
Will it not?
Okay, it's saying it's corrupt file.
Is that really?
No, April Fools. There you go. So that's my little entry. Okay.
Do you notice how I wasn't really that bothered?
You see, listeners, this is the disdain she has. She already calls you a bunch of cum. And now she just, I don't care if they open one of the listening thing.
I don't call them a bunch of cum.
You do.
We call them sperm.
Bunch of cum. That's exactly what you call them.
Sperm.
What is sperm but a bunch of cum?
They love it. Okay. Some people are tadpoles. Some people are salty tadpoles. It depends which one they want to be.
So you're a bunch of cum and you love it. That's what she's saying to you, listeners. That's all I'm saying. Anyway, let me read this.
Who doesn't love cum?
Hello, Gemma.
Okay, you don't need to read that part.
What part don't I need to read?
Well, just you read whatever you want. Yeah, because I was going to say I don't think you need to read the hello Gemma part, but yeah, carry on.
I'm reading you see this from a fellow dyslexic, a fellow person who struggles to read, and then when I read it's
That's
like I've got notes.
That's coming out.
I've got notes.
That's coming out.
What's coming out?
All that little rant.
No, leave it in. Much more fun.
Yeah.
So, hello, Gemma. It definitely says at the beginning. Here's a little prank that I did. For full disclosure, the prank ran from late August to about early December. So whilst it isn't an April Fool's joke, it is the best I've got. I've a little setup before we get into it. I'm a contractor. I work in financial services, not PPI. And I was working on a project with hundreds of other contractors. We had heard rumours that the management were going to cull a lot of stuff, so we all started to look about for other work. Now this sounds like it's going to take a nasty turn, but we'll keep going. When I was sat at my desk, a friend came over and asked me about Aylesbury, as he thought it was in Wales. Yes, I know. And just as we were talking about it, another colleague, the subject of the prank, and let's call him Jim, walked past, asked us what we were talking about. And without thinking, I said we were talking about a job in Aylesbury. We thought nothing of it. 2 days later, Jim was on lunch with a few of the team and they got talking about new jobs. There was something in Liverpool and optioned in Sheffield, and Jim mentioned that I was going for a job in Aylesbury. The guys he was, oh Jesus, does this come in volumes? Is there a paperback available? The guys he was on lunch with knew there wasn't an actual job in Aylesbury, but they went along with what I said, and I knew that the person in charge of the project, so I was assumed to get the role. Then they came up from lunch. Jim walked over to me and asked me in the background. Everyone was waiting with their arms, suggesting that I go along with it and prolong the myth. So I did. I said the manager in the new project was a previous sales director and that I had a really good friendship with, and that he had offered me one of the lead roles, earning 50% more than we were earning at the time. Jim asked if he could get the details and if I'd put in a good word for him. I said, sure thing, no problem. Me and Chris go way back. He'll hire anyone I say is good. Jim went back to his desk and a couple of the guys came over and we hatched a plan. To cut a really long story short, too late. I set up a fake email address and got an address for a hotel in Aylesbury, and one of the other guys even created a faked LinkedIn page with details of the role. I gave him the email address, said to send his CV a cover photo and explain that he works with me and that I'd give him my okay. It took Jim a couple of days to rewrite his CV, as it had been a while, and as an older gent, well, they were probably young by the time I started the story, mid-50s, he was great with computers. That's my editorialisation there. However, he sent a CV photo and explained that we were best mates. Never true. He said that he was willing to take any role. By this time, everyone on the floor knew this was completely rubbish, and they all played along. Every day on lunch, people asked him if he had gone for the role. One day, another colleague took a day off, and when he came back, he said that he had been down to Aylesbury for an interview and got the job. Another colleague pretended to get a call. When he came back to his desk, he said he had got the role as well. Jim was so excited, he told his wife that he would be leaving Manchester and would need to stay in over Aylesbury during the week. He even went so far as to contact estate agents and tried to find out if he could rent a flat for 6 months. I feel like this story is in real time, but let's keep going. After about a month of this going on and on and on, much like this story, Jim told us that he was taking a day off so he and his wife could go to Aylesbury to check out flats. I could have walked to Aylesbury in the time I was telling the story.
Yeah, shush.
Sorry?
I said, you shush, you be good.
No, I won't. I refuse. I've got a lot more story to go. It was at this point that we decided to tell him, and so we did. In a team meeting surrounded by 15 of us on the team, he wasn't happy. No shit. He turned bright red and just went quiet. The atmosphere was horrible for a few days. He never got over it. It turned out that 2 months after he was cut from the project and as wasn't very good, and I was kept on. Oh, did I mention that he used to take the absolute piss out of everyone at every opportunity? He even made one of the women at the team cry because he was being constantly so mean. So no one was sorry about what we did. The story has become legendary with everyone involved. Sadly, Jim blamed me for everything, even though we were at least 30 people directly involved in the prank. The situation got so bad between us, they attacked me on a Christmas night out. Now, bearing in mind, is it Christmas again already? I have been reading the story for a while. Now, bearing in mind that I'm 6 foot 7.5 inches tall and built like a British shithouse, he was 5'4". By the way, if he's that height, he's not in the Southampton area, is he? Because I love this story, by the way. And built like a blancmange, the 5'4" guy. I didn't fight back, but I almost did, and that was the last time I drank alcohol. I didn't like almost losing my cool and sparking out that twat. I've never spoken to him since that Christmas night, and I care not a jot what he thinks of me. The moral of the story is, folks, if you can't take a joke, don't make a joke. And that story is available in hardback at the moment, but if you wait until this Christmas, it'll be available in paperback, Kindle edition, and a 20-part movie, each part being 4 hours long, is in the works by Zack Snyder. Thank you very much for your contribution.
Yeah, thank you very much, Owen. I know, but then I read it, obviously, when I read it off mic, because, obviously the wonderful Squee just read it for us. And, I went through a wave of emotions with that story, because I was just like, oh my God, I can't believe they did that. Oh my God, the wife.
By the way, did you have to take annual leave to allow yourself enough time to read that? Because that's a long-ass email.
It was all right. It was a quiet day at work. I just read it then.
Just one day, are you sure?
I'm a very fast reader.
Yeah.
When it's in my head, I'm a fast reader. I skim read it. Skin, or whatever. You know what I'm
You
trying to
skimmed
say.
Reddit. Is this up on Reddit as a long thread?
Yeah. It will be now. So yeah, I did. I went through like a wave of emotions, and then when he wrote at the end that he was like a complete asshole, like the guy, or Jim as he was called, I felt a little bit better. And especially as he made a woman cry, I was like, yeah.
Oh, God, my voice is shredded after reading that.
Yeah, well, I'll let you have a little rest now, and I'll take over the reading. Colin Maggs has written, One that took some patience was carefully unpicking the glued bottom of a packet of cigarettes, sliding the pack out, unfolding the foil top so it's undamaged, taking the cigarettes out, putting them tipped into the bottom.
So I think he's faking that the pack of cigarettes hasn't been opened.
Yeah.
And he's turning some upside down. I don't know why he glued his bottom, but that may be a separate issue.
No, he unpicked the glued bottom.
Oh, sorry, I understand that.
Sorry, Colin, this is me reading, not you.
I know, I was just being comical with the glued bottom. I understood
you
it
were.
really. It's almost like I was just being silly.
Yeah, I know you were. Yeah.
Oh.
It's almost like we're comedians.
Let's not go that far.
Well, at least in your case. So, putting them tipped down into the bottom half of a similar packet, taking a needle and thread and sewing all of the cigarettes together as low down on the filter as you can, so that it hides the thread carefully slide the cigarettes back into the pack, then the pack into the cellophane, gluing the bottom of the pack.
Has he done this prank recently? Because the average pack of cigarettes is like 20 quid these days. I mean, that's an expensive prank.
It is, but that's an amazing prank. That's amazing.
It's a lot of work.
It is a lot of work.
See, I'm always impressed because, like, look, fair play. I do understand these kind of elaborate pranks. I've heard of people taking bikes and cars apart and rebuilding them indoors, so it's impossible to drive it out because it's kind of just it's impossible. And I love the effort and everything, but I would start thinking the prank and go, oh, geez, I'm tired just thinking of that work. That sounds like a lot of effort.
Yeah, it definitely does. Yeah, because I think the only thing that I've ever done, because I never actually covered what I've done, is just put like cling film over the toilet. So that when people go to the toilet, it's like, it doesn't go down. It's like, what's going on?
That's great. But if you do it at your own house, you've got the cleanup. So be careful. Only do it at your friends' houses.
Yeah, all work. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that poor cleaning lady then. Or cleaning man, not being sexist.
Yes, can't be sexist. Right. Daniel Myers. Last year, a person who shall remain unnamed constructed an email notifying an entire department that they being let go due to budgetary restraints and cutbacks. They sneakily waited for their bosses to go out for an early lunch, then hopped onto his computer.
Wait, whoa. This isn't the story I read out again, is it? Because we're not going through that again. We haven't got the time.
No, it's not. It's not the same
I've
story.
got my
don't
vaccine
worry.
in like 5 hours.
Different person.
Sorry, go on.
And sent it out to all of their co-workers. 20 minutes later, after 15 what the fuck replies from the team, they sent out another email from the boss saying, "Don't worry, I'm just an idiot that doesn't lock my computer when I leave my desk. Happy April Fool's Day. See you all at work tomorrow."
Nice.
Right, so then we move on to the wonderful Lucy Caton. Okay, so she says, I don't think these are specifically April Fool's Days, but we did a few at our old workplace. Used a label maker to label every single item in a colleague's office, i.e. Bill's desk, Bill's pencil, Bill's paperclip, etc.
I love that. You see, the amount of times in an office people nick your shit, I would be so thankful if someone had just labelled it all up for me.
I know, but also the fact that they labelled the paperclip as well. I mean, that's pretty impressive.
Nice. I mean, how did they get their writing so small? Like, is it on every paperclip? That's good work there.
Yeah, good work. Filled an office full of balloons, which personally I wouldn't like because I don't like balloons. Taped an air horn to a colleague's chair so it went off when she sat down.
That's genius.
Genius, yeah. The same colleague was also scared of... Sorry, because I know what's coming. It's making me laugh. The same colleague was scared of cows, so he brought... What the fuck? Come on, Gemma, bring yourself together. So we brought a life-size cardboard cow and what the fuck? It's making me laugh really bad.
I think it's a pretty genius prank.
It is. It's really tickled me. Oh dear. Right, so we'll start again. I'll leave all that in, but I'll save that again. The same colleague was scared of cows, So we brought a life-size cardboard cow, stood it in her office while playing mooing sounds.
You see, what I love about that is, again, it's the effort which gone into it. I'm pretty sure you can't just buy a stand-up cardboard cutout of a cow. Like, you probably have to have that made. Like, that's a lot of effort. Genius. I love that one.
Yeah, definitely.
And the air horn one, the construction, jeez.
Yeah, I really like that one as well. At a different workplace, on my boss's birthday, we wrapped everything on his desk in cling film, including his desk and chair.
Oh, no, sorry, I'm reading it as you're saying it, but it's tinfoil. So that's even kind of more like the noise and everything I like about that.
Yeah.
You said cling film. That would actually, I don't know which is annoying because cling film, it gets so stuck on everything. But tinfoil, the noise as you're unwrapping everything is just going to be a nightmare. Genius either way.
Yeah, I like it. I like it all.
I've got to say, actually, while we're talking about office ones, when I used to work in office many, many years ago, there was someone who was really kind of she always had a problem with something. Once for her birthday, as everyone does in an office, you bring in snacks for everyone on your birthday and leave them on the end of the thing of desks. And what she did was she brought them in, she left them on her desk, didn't say anything to anyone, and then got in a real mood because no one would take any of them. So she then put them on a desk for another team and made a big stink about the fact that no one took any of them because everyone hates her. And it's like, you didn't tell us. You didn't tell anyone. We're not just going to go up to your desk and nick food. It's just really fun. So what we did once to her, and I was a bit mean because she was so high strung, but she kind of like she made a rod for herself.
Yeah.
But she got married, so she had two nameplates, and she'd put the one, you just put these kind of things on the end of your desk, and they had like one of the little plastic standees, and you just slide them in.
Yeah.
And so what we kept on doing every time she was away from her desk, now this is a really small, minor, unimportant thing, but we knew how much it would wind her up. We kept on putting her maiden name in front of her other one. So she kept on sliding it back. She never thought all she had to do to stop us doing this was get rid of the one with the wrong name. And she was golden, but all she kept on doing was sliding into the back. So every time she left her desk, we just slid it back to the front. And again, all she had to really do to stop it was to stop being wound up by it. All it is a nameplate with your maiden name. That's it. It is fuck all of a prank, unless the person is wound up by it.
Yeah, exactly. But then that was your fun, I suppose. Otherwise she'd have ruined it, wouldn't she?
Yeah. There you go. No, I'd be great if she was happy, but she just wouldn't get out of her own way.
Fair enough. So the next one is from Bob Christian, which is, this one reminds me of one that I did to somebody as well, so I'll tell that in a second. When I worked for an IT firm, I changed a colleague's mouse from left click to right click, removed the ball from the bottom of the mouse.
That was a classic. I remember doing that in offices.
Yeah. Then for pièce de résistance, I took a screenshot of his desktop, set it as his wallpaper, then used settings to remove desktop icons. He was clicking at nothing. Needless to say, he wasn't too happy, and he had revenge later.
Now that's genius.
Yeah. I had to ask what the revenge was, and he said that he dismantled my desk chair and neatly stacked it up in the office.
Nice.
Nice. But my one that I remember from that was that we used to all be in an office. This is a different workplace now, but there was one lad who had a screen that could swivel all the way around because he was in the CAD department. So, I think there was a reason for it. So that he could actually do the drawing and whatnot. Anyway, so we managed to, this was a couple of us, we managed to, while he was on lunch, literally turn the screen upside down. And we messed around with all of the other things. And again, when he came back from lunch, he was trying to work out how to sort of correct everything. So I can't remember exactly what we did, but I just remember the fact that we did manage to twiddle his screen all the way around. But it was kind of like a thing where this wouldn't have happened had you have not locked your screen when you left.
Yeah.
David Cooper, he says, while working at a garden centre, we took a colleague's smart car, cling wrapped it, and then banded it to a pallet. and stuck it in the warehouse. As an engineer, we used to send the apprentices to the store for non-existent items like a long weight, a shy hook, a left-handed screwdriver, which actually they do exist now, I believe, and the classic tartan paint.
How does left-handed screwdriver exist? Because they're round. There's no left or right.
Okay, maybe they don't then. Maybe they don't. Maybe I misspoke.
I'm just not sure what that would be.
I don't know. One that you can use in your left hand, I don't know.
The other good one is wooden screws. I remember as a kind of a staple of those kind of pointless things you send people out for.
Yeah, that's good. Do you fancy taking Timmy Dawson's one for a bit? Because to give me a break from reading.
Sure, I'll just take a belt of water. Because even I at 12:30 haven't started yet. So when I was young, less hairy, much more handsome student studying theatre production, I thought it would be fun to gaffer tape my housemate to his bedroom. We had been given lots of stuff at a trade show. I covered the entire door area with tape so that when he opened the door, he would be met with a sticky surprise. Okay, sticky surprise sounds like you did something much worse to me, but let's go on.
Yeah.
Once completed, I texted him saying I needed him to come downstairs for some reason. I think it was tea related. I couldn't see his face, but I could tell he loved it. He decided to repay the favour, but couldn't stop himself from giggling any time I got near my bedroom door. So for the rest of the night, I just kept saying, "I can hear you, Simon." He would excitedly scramble back to his room, resuming his attempt every 5 minutes. All night long, good times. Nice. I do love it when you pranked someone or kind of got someone on something so many times that it becomes just paranoid about the house. That's great.
Yes.
So if I pick up this glass of water, it's safe, yeah? Look, I'm going to leave it. It's just, I'm going to just swear off water now.
Yeah. But that's part of growing up and fun, isn't it?
Oh,
really?
so you can eat that pizza, are you? Well, I'm not now, am I? Thank you.
And last but not least, we got one from the wonderful Kerry Harrington. It's not an April Fool's prank, or even a prank per se, but I do have a tendency to hold photo shoots with friends while they sleep after a night of drinking. For example, have them holding tiny toiletries to make them look like a giant. Have them making phone calls, but my best one was I managed to put a coat hanger in their shirt while they were wearing it. It makes great breakfast conversation when I show them the photos the day after.
That's pretty genius.
Yeah, to which I turned round to her and I said, "You've never done any of these to me, have you, Kerry?" She's literally done all of them to me. And there's photographic evidence and she's not allowed to show anybody.
So, Kerry, if you can post that on the Talking Codswallop page, that would be wonderful.
And Kerry, if you do, we're not going to be friends anymore.
Okay, Kerry, there's a loophole here. Send them to me. I'll post them on there. We're all golden.
Do you know me as a friend, you bastard?
No, just like you just said, it would be her who didn't like say who would be in trouble. You didn't say anything about me.
Oh, okay. Anyone who posts them on the page.
Oh, so now it's down to you. It's up to you how much you want me as a friend after I do that.
Oh dear. Again, that was amazing. Amazing amount of answers there, and that really tickled me, especially the cow.
That's good stuff.
Yeah, it really was. So I think in that case then, my friend Dr. Squee, it is sort of time to wrap up the show now because we've been going for an hour and a half. By the time I've edited it down, it will probably be an hour and a half.
And an hour of that was just me reading out that email.
Yeah.
Like just learn to be a bit more concise, Owen. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. Although we found out this episode that, yeah, it's good to have Owen on side.
Yeah, I'm not scared of him unless he's in the Southampton area. Then I'm very scared of him.
Well, I can show where you live. Oh, I can't actually.
Yeah, you can. Ha ha! And now you're not getting the address.
I can show where you used to live.
Well, it's just a trip down memory lane. If he lived here still, you'd totally be able to kick his ass. But as it is, I'll wait until I get the address.
This is a pub he likes. Yeah.
Yeah, but now the reason why, one of the reasons why I used to like that as a pub was it was right next door to me. Now I'd have to travel there. It's effort.
Oh, fair enough. I meant the Hobbit anyway, but you know.
Again, it's not as close as it used to be. I still love it, but yeah.
Oh, that sucks. But, you know, close enough. It's a lot closer than it is from me. Anyway, we're whittering on still. So, did you want to sort of give out your social media and whatnot for all of your podcasts? Because not only the Dr. Squee show, you've also got the Due South by Southeast podcast as well.
Yes.
Which you had a very interesting guest on as well, so which you can tell us about if you'd like.
Yeah, sure. So before I forget, I also do, I'm the narrator on this podcast sitcom called Falls a Crowd, which you can check out on your favourite podcatcher. It's good times about people living and dating in their 30s, and it's a comedy sitcom. Yeah, it's all good fun. So check that one out. And on Due South by Southeast, I created that show as just a bit of a giggle. The whole idea was the other podcasts I do, I kind of put a lot of time and effort into recording and doing and kind of securing guests and all that. So Due South by Southeast was meant to be the silly kind of just fuck about podcast while we talk about Due South while we drink rum, which it still ostensibly is. But it kind of has caught so much heat from people who are fans of Due South that we actually managed to get Paul Gross on, who was the main star of Due South. He played the Mountie, for anyone who doesn't know his name. He was such a wonderful guy. He's a real big kind of actor in Canada. And so it was just such a pleasure to sit down with him. He gave an hour and a half of his time. So you can check that out on video or on audio on Due South by Southeast. If you check out the Dr. Squee Show YouTube page, please do subscribe to that. Look up the Dr. Squee Show on YouTube, because at the moment, until we get to 100 subscribers, it will not give me a personalized handle for YouTube. So instead it's a load of random string of letters and numbers. So please subscribe to that so I can get a fucking custom handle and call it the Dr. Squee Show so it's easy to find. Ooh. But just look it up. We've got not only interviews from Due South by Southeast I put up on there as a little extra, but you've got interviews with the likes of now I'm going to forget everyone, but Bill Burst Jr., who is a horror legend who's been over 200 projects. You might not know the name. Look him up though, you'll know who he is. Kevin Hearn, who's from the Bare Naked Ladies, who's a fantastic Canadian rock band. 1 Week is their biggest hit. Yep. I'm going to try and think of some more now. Oh yeah, Alexander Siddig, who played Dr. Bashir in Star Trek Deep Space Nine, as well as being in 24 and Game of Thrones. Who else have I got on? Paul Haggis, who is an Oscar-winning writer, who also wrote on Due South and created that show. There's tons of different people you can find there. So it's our YouTube page. You can go to twitch.tv/Dr. Squee. On Facebook, it's the Dr. Squee Show page. And we're on the radio every Thursday from 8 till 10. So in all these different formats, you can catch different things. So when we go live on Facebook and Twitch and YouTube, those live interviews, and then we kind of take the interview and we put it in as a section in my 2-hour radio show, 8 till 10 on the Bear.live every Thursday, British time. Please look out your local times. And we also add the big question of the week, and I talk about topical events as well. So we've had my friend Michelle, who's an NHS nurse, come on, talk about what it's like to be doing that in COVID times, working for the NHS. We've had a friend of Nicola's, who is the curry queen, Sarah Chowdhury, who's been on TV doing that, and she's also a award-winning businesswoman who started up her own business empire. And there's loads of good stuff. So please do check out the radio show. Please check out our interviews online, and check us out wherever you can get it, and listen to that sitcom Falls a Crowd. There you go.
Ah, fantastic. And also, when you're introducing the Talking Codswallop episode a couple of weeks after this one drops on the Bear radio station, because we're part of that as well, and we follow your show, don't we?
You do.
Is what I'm trying to say. And and so basically you can say, I'm actually on this episode.
If I remember, I will totally do that. But usually what I end up doing is, what I love doing the live radio show, because the interviews are pre-recorded, but I kind of do bits around it which are live record, and stuff like Big Question of the Week, that's all done live. And I I try and kind of pack loads of stuff into it to make it a really fun show and make it kind of, just a real big show. But I always run out of time. So at the end, I'm always going, it's like, Talking Codswallop's on next. Yeah, bye. And it's always a mad scramble to fit everything in. So if I remember to plug you, which I try to do every week, and I remember my own name and everything else, I will remember I'm on there, I'm sure. But we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see how that works out.
We'll see. Yeah. An update will be coming. It might be my Codswallop if he doesn't. No, I'm joking.
Yeah.
Well, in that case then, I think that we've been talking enough Codswallop this week. I have been Gemma.
She has.
And he has been Dr. Squee.
And I've been Dr. Squee. That's James Stafford. Please rain any complaints.